All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Time with Training, Halloween edition. I'm Todd, and I'm joined by Brian this morning, and we're going to take you through this session together. We want to thank you all for attending and taking time out of your busy schedules. We really do appreciate it. Just taking a look at the attendees, I saw Lisa Melson on the call. She was a subject matter expert on the project, now assigned to PIC. Welcome, Lisa. And I think I saw Kim Waltman, one of the motor vehicle liaisons. Glad to have you. Just looking through the list. If I missed anybody from DVS, please let us know in the chat. We love having you here supporting us and backing us up. Welcome. Real briefly, if you could, please put your deputy officer DL agent number in the chat for us. It does help with attendance. If you have other people gathered around watching with you, send us their names as well. And we want to make sure we count everybody and giving everybody credit for attending. And if you saw in the last Save the Date announcement, you guys smashed the attendance record back in September with over 850 people. So kudos to you guys. Again, we can't thank you enough for the support, and I'm truly blown away by the attendance. As we go through the slides, get your snipping tool ready. They come with Windows, snipping tool or snip and sketch. And you can take screenshots of the slides as we go through, since we do not share these afterwards. Watch for the red star. When you see the red star on the screen, no more information is going to be added, and you can take your screenshot. So try to stay on your toes if you can and get your screenshots as quickly as possible so we can keep this moving along. We got a lot of great material to cover with you this morning. And Brian's going to kick it off with the driver services segment and some great follow-up on DL for All, along with some other great topics. Brian, good morning, bud. Take it away.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. For those of you that normally attend this session, I know Celia is the one who usually is in here, but she did get pulled away for a different project this morning. So I'm stepping in, and you're going to have to just deal with me this morning. So hi, I'm Brian. I'm on the training team for those that I don't know or don't know me or we haven't met. And I will kick us off as we always do with the driver service segment. And hey, have you heard of DL for All? Thanks, Sherry Lynn. Agenda again. Yep, you got it, Diane. Whoops, sorry about that. I got an itchy trigger finger. There we go. Let me know when you're ready, Diane. You good? I will take that silence. Okay, thanks, Diane. All right. Yes, we will start with the driver service segment. DL for All is the elephant in the room. We're going to have some follow-up today. We're going to clarify some information from our documents list, the new one. We're going to talk about some frequent issues that have come up and go over resources for our customers as well as for ourselves. So we got a ton of information to get through. And as we go, if you have questions, throw them in chat. If I can get to them, or if Todd or I know them, we will answer them. If not, we will get back with you. So let's start off with some specific things on that documents list, starting with our primary docs. Just a few reminders here. All primary docs must be unexpired. And they also need to have a customer's full name, which includes a middle name if the customer has a middle name. It also needs their date of birth, of course. So that middle name thing, if a customer has a primary doc that only has an initial for their middle name, they are allowed to use that document as a primary only, but only if they have a supplementary document that shows what the middle initial stands for. The supplemental doc can be any type of document. All we're asking is that you go ahead and scan those documents or that supplemental doc as well as the primary. and all other documents associated with your transaction, of course. And more primary doc information. We want to talk about what is now part of the first point or first line of the primary docs list. That's the consular identification documents. So these are actually ID cards that consulates issue to identify citizens of their home country who reside abroad, so reside here in the US essentially. Whoops, sorry about that. First, it needs to, excuse me, be unexpired, and it has to have a photo. And it also has to have been issued by an actual consulate. And you can, all you need to do is just look at the card. It should have the word consular on there somewhere. If it has that on there, you're good to go. That's a consulate ID card. And more information on this is more customer service. So if a customer is a foreign citizen and they live here in Minnesota and they don't have a consular ID and they actually want to get one, they can contact their native country's consulate. What you need to know is not all countries issue them. So you can check this information out. There's a vetted publication from a nonprofit organization. They're called Consumer Action, and they have a list of countries and consulate contact info if you'd like. We'll put the link in chat for you. You can save it. Your call. I mean, this is just more of a customer service type of thing, something to offer the customer if the topic were to come up. But like I said, we'll throw that link in chat. If you feel obligated, feel free to bookmark it. We'll throw a lot of stuff in here in chat here, by the way, today. So get ready to bookmark. Another big piece of information here that requires its own slide. So consular ID cards are just consular ID cards. They're not the same as a national ID card. Those are completely different. We're going to talk about them a little bit today. It's a completely different category. So just make note of that. If you're snip this screen, it's important. This has come up several times. So we wanted to throw it out there and just kind of remind everyone that comes to the trainings what the skinny is on those national ID cards. Again, they're not consulate IDs. Okay, let's talk about secondary documents. And on our secondary docs list, we'll talk about these national IDs a little bit more. So those national IDs, they're only accepted in the secondary doc list. They can't be used as a primary. And if you look in the entry, it's the title is issued by a foreign or domestic government jurisdiction, driver's license, identification card, or permit with photograph expired 5 years or less. So these are going to have a few different titles. You might see like national ID card, might just say identification card, identity card. It might have like the name of the country, then whatever, like, Nicaragua card. Or like the example on our screen, it might say Ethiopian digital card or ID card. So we're giving you hints as to what to look for these national ID cards. It's not going to have the word consular or consulate in the title. It will have that ID or identification or identity verbiage on there. All right. DUI cards, not driving under the influence. Okay, I'm going to do my best Spanish impression. I took Spanish in high school. The DUI cards are short for Documento Único de Identidad cards. How did I do? Did I sound like I was from El Salvador? And that's what they are. They're El Salvadorian cards. These, thanks, Todd. Tony says pretty good. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so these are they're the El Salvador national ID cards. They're in the same category. Again, just can only be used as a secondary doc in that ID card or national ID category. And I believe, I got a thumbs up from Denise. Thank you. Let's see. I'll leave this up just for a few more seconds if you're snipping. It's kind of a quick slide. Hang on a second. Got a question. I have a question. She says back about million. Does that work if they don't have any? Yeah, just an initial. If they don't have a middle name, they just don't have a middle name. Let's see. Does that work if they don't have any middle name listed? Oh, that's a good question, June. And you're saying they have a middle name, but it's just not listed, correct? That's a kind of a different. Oh, looks like Todd said that is for an initial. Yes, what I showed you was for an initial. Pretty much any supplemental doc, Courtney, from what I gathered from the answer yesterday. June says yes. I think. Sorry, I might be confused. Yep, you bet. Yeah. Thanks, Todd. I'm sorry. Does that work if they don't have a middle name listed or if there's just an initial? So you said yes. I think I asked a couple of questions. If they have a middle name and isn't that actually talk about it. Correct. I think they still have to have that middle initial. If they have a middle name and it's not on there, I don't believe that's acceptable. I'll verify that though for sure. Or if somebody actually on the call knows for sure, they can throw it in chat. But I'll verify it if we don't get that answer. Does that sound okay, June? All right, cool. If we don't get an answer and Todd's sharing, I'll hunt it down for us. We will move on. We have these great resources. We found them and we created some for foreign documents. So this first one is the U.S. Department of State Bureau of Consular Affairs website. So if you want to know all the specifics on specific documents from a country like birth certificates, marriage certificates, passports, adoption certificates from any country in the world, this is where you want to go. Just go to the link. Todd threw it in chat. You want to definitely bookmark this because this is very helpful. I'll show you here how it works. All you have to do, if you're looking at my screen, kind of draw your eyes down to the left, and we'll select whatever the country, whatever the country we're looking for, whatever that country letter starts with. So let's just say we're looking for Colombia. You'll click that C, you'll find Colombia on here highlighted. You'll click into Colombia and then it'll have this list of documents. And let's say we're looking for marriage or divorce certificates. You can click on there and it'll give you the information, a description of the Colombian marriage certificates, even in this case, the type of paper that they use. So it's pretty thorough. It's pretty specific on any type of document from any country. So good one. This is kind of a big win. I'm glad this is out there. I don't know how long it's been out there, but we could have used it some time ago. Yeah, I agree, Jessica. No pictures, but great descriptions. Yep. All right. There's also a new help article out there for you with visual examples. So that one doesn't have visual examples. This one does. So this is for all types of documents on the new standard docs list. So you can find it in the help manager. Just type in keyword examples. That the entire, obviously you can see the entire help topic, driver's license for all primary, secondary documents, examples. And there's also a link to the Bureau website in there as well. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. Yeah, good point, Todd. Yeah, we did put sample docs in there that we shared in August. So we're going to bat for you and trying to help you out as much as we can here in training. There's also an out-of-state, out-of-country birth certificates help topic, just keyword birth. That also has the Department of State website link at the bottom there as well. And yes, Kate, that's your first question. Yes, that is to clarify what the full name is if they have one. No, if the primary has a middle initial, and that is all they have and want, you still need additional documents, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. That middle initial, we need to have the full name on that primary. All we were saying is that if the primary document they're presenting has the middle initial, a supplemental doc showing what that middle initial stands for is what we need. If they don't have a middle name, they don't have a middle name. There's nothing you can do. But if they have a middle name, it's only an initial on the primary doc, then we need that supplemental doc. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Good question, Kate. All right. All right, so let's go over some things to know for DL for all that aren't related to documents per se. We'll talk through a quick temp stay scenario we ran into. We'll also look at some international driving permit and out-of-country credentials. We'll look at some translation docs, which has also been kind of a hot topic. New data privacy policy, and then some customer service tips, which we went over last month, but it's been asked to go over again, and I'll explain more when we get there. So the first one, we did have a situation come up from one of the offices where a customer had a temp stay flag on their account, which we're going to see, right? Because they were required to show their temp stay status. Now they're not. So they're going to still have that flag on their account, but they lost their ID or whatever, it was stolen. And the office wanted to remove the flag and issue a duplicate, but there was some confusion on the process as the system, when they were trying it, wasn't charging a fee. And so in looking at this, we thought it'd be something good to present to you. I'm sure some of you, if not many of you, are running into this situation. And this is just a friendly reminder. So whenever you have this situation come up, you're going to require two issue a credential transactions. So the first is going to be to remove, or update, whatever you want to call it, but get that temp stay updated or removed. The second transaction will be to issue the duplicate. This will ensure you can collect the dupe fee. And then the system is intuitive enough to know, even if you're doing two issue of credential transactions, the system will determine the correct one and only issue one credential. So there's not that, if you were thinking in your head, well, what if they get two credentials? That won't happen. It'll only go from the most recent one, which, when I say that, means do this in the correct order, of course. Okay. Okay, let's talk this international driving permit. So this is only a supplemental document to a foreign driver's license. It can't be used either as a primary or a secondary ID doc at all. So the thing with these, they're issued only as translations of a person's driver's license. We were unable to find any authority, a government authority that can, back it up or, I don't know, vet it. And there's a ton of fakes out there, and it doesn't even have a photograph anyway. So if you see these, the only thing they can be allowed is to waive the customer of the requirement of an instructional permit. If they have an international driving permit, they want to get a road test, they'll need that home country driver's license. Another thing you can use this for is to translate their foreign driver's license, if applicable. And we'll talk about translations here in a bit. So, all right. Just fix my chat just to make sure I get enough so I can see questions as they come through. All right. So, let's see, countries. So there's a help article with a list of tips and tricks on out-of-country driver's license and state IDs. Take a look at it here. It's going to be very helpful, and I would highly recommend you go to your help manager and bookmark this article. You can find it with the keyword country. I will fix the slide to show you the entire title is out-of-country OOC credentials and requirements. And bookmark this in MinDrive, then and share it. Share the info around with your staff in your office. Okay, let's see. Okay, thank you, Todd. So we want. Okay. Oh, thank you, Todd. All right. Good question, Miranda. Thanks, Todd, for having my 6 here. Okay. So what if a customer brings in an original document in a foreign language and an English translation of that document without having filled out a DVS translation form? So let's talk translations for a bit. So if you run into this scenario, you might be able to help them right there. And here's the procedure. So first, you want to ask if the translation was done by someone from our list, and that you can find the list on the translation form. Um, if yes, you can move on. If they tell you no, give them the form, have them find a translator from the list, and then they're going to have to complete that translation and come back. But if the translator was actually from our list, just have them check the correct box on a brand new form for what type of translator it was. Then take the form and the original document and the translated English version, scan those in, throw a note on the record about what the situation is, and just uh, finish the transaction as you normally would. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Chad. Good questions, you all for today's segment. This helps out a lot when you have these questions. So hopefully we can answer them all, but if not, we will hunt them down. All right, data privacy. We wanted to highlight a section from our newly revamped data privacy policy. There is a new section there that says users must not use data for civil immigration enforcement purposes or disclose the data to a state or federal government entity, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read the rest from your own copy of the new updated policy. All we wanted to do here is just make sure everyone understood that there are penalties for violating the data privacy policy. We've gone over this before, you all know that, but now it just includes specific protection for immigration information. You can let your customers know this too. It's out there. You can, if you want to display it, you can display it and point it out to them too, just to give them a little peace of mind. And we'll throw that link in chat as well. All right, and yes, we are taking the needle on the record player back to the start because we did talk about this last month, and I'm gonna just preface this by saying there have been some issues, and our upper management wanted us to go over this again. So it's gonna be a lot of repetitive from last month and from prior months, but we're because of what's going on with DL for all, we just want to make sure everyone's being respectful and professional and courteous, and I know you all are. Want to make sure people are being treated with kindness, and we know this goes without saying, but we wanted to pass the message along. We know it's busier than usual with this DL for all. You already have a pretty stressful job. That just adds to the stress, and our customers sometimes are stressed too. So again, they're just asking us to remind you, just to regardless of your thought of DL for all, just treat them with kindness and respect, kind of like we would want to be treated. And I get it. I get how it works. I worked, in the public sector or with public for a long, long time. So I get it. It can be tough. And then de-escalation videos, again, we talked about this last month. You can find them under that managing conflict help article, from crisis to conflict management styles, active listening, and dealing with irate customers. Again, you can find all these videos in MinDrive under the keyword conflict in that help topic. It does, Sarah. And so customer service, again, I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, I know. I'm not going to read this. So we appreciate you, and we're trying to support you as best we can, and we know that nothing's perfect. Just in all this craziness, just remember we work for the people of the state of Minnesota. That's our end user, and you represent both DVS and of course your office. So I know you'll all be professional. So just keep doing what you're doing. Keep that professional chin up and friendly face forward, and things will go swimmingly. Okay, let's quit talking about DL for all now. I think we got all the questions answered. Excuse me, sorry, I didn't mean to clear my throat on mic. I think we got them all answered. I'll double check again. All right, and scary. Oops.
Yep, Sarah, that's exactly what it would look like. You'd make a copy of the actual document, and then the person translating would write in English over the different areas. That's the best way to do it. Yep, June, Brian will probably run that one down while I'm presenting.
Yeah, in the essence of time, June, I will hunt it down. I didn't see it, or I might have seen it, but I forgot and I haven't looked back. I apologize, folks. I won't give you my details, but I'm just working on kind of limited resources here. I need another screen. So I have to use this really tiny chat box, and I can't, and they come through pretty fast and furious. And I see yours, Flora and Tim, and so search for what specific can we accept? Yes, I will. Yeah, I'll hunt that down for you, Flora and Tim. A little kind of off topic, not too bad. But yeah, let me go ahead and move forward with this training, and I promise I will hunt them down. And if I can't get them by the end of the training, I will provide you my email and all that good stuff, so you can hit me up, and we can talk offline too. But my goal will be to answer your questions by the end of this chat, and that is my favorite scary movie, The Exorcist, and we will move on to card production delays. And I don't know, I can't see the participants from my screen. I don't know if Mary Boyer is here. If she is, I want to just give kudos to her for helping me with card production delays. And we know, again, this is a hot topic, but she was a key in getting all this information. And hopefully this will help you understand kind of what's going on with our card production delays. So let's hop into it. How am I doing on time? Okay. So anyone out there in our deputy world want to throw in chat what is one of the bigger reasons that we are having card production delays? Any ideas? There's probably no wrong answer, so just throw it in chat. Sarah says photo, glare, photo, Miranda, Kristen, Sid, glasses. Yep, you're all, yeah, smiles. You're all on the right track. So thank you. Yes, one of the biggest reasons for his delays are stemming from pictures. So if you remember this from last year, I think it was February of 2022, we kind of went over, I think we even had a game show or something like that. So we have these pictures here, glare from the glasses, which a lot of you just said, offset pics, hair in the eyes, heads posing for those glamour shots. What we need is good pictures from our offices, and those good pictures look like this. Now, when I was researching this, I was getting assistance from our CPD person, kind of our guru, Mary Boyer. And I looked at actual pics that were deemed inappropriate or whatever, and they got sent a letter. And I looked at those, and you're kind of right. The glare from the glasses is a big one, and it doesn't take much glare to have it not fall in line with what a good pick is. So these, you can see they're all centered. The blue background, there's no extreme blue background, but just enough. There's no reflections from the eyewear. There's no trophies or pictures or plants in the background. Everybody here is looking good. We can see their eyes. If their hair is short, we can actually see their ears, or if their hair is long, we would at least can see where their ears would be if they weren't covered. And in looking at these two, I kind of was like, all right, kind of from the Adam's apple up, we don't want a bunch of torso showing. So let's talk idemia. It's not all on the pictures you're taking, of course. So, but idemia, whenever there's a picture, the system for idemia automatically determines through whatever artificial intelligence or whatever algorithm they use to determine if the picture is recognized as a quote unquote good or a valid shot, or if there's something wrong with the shot. If there is a problem, it's going to flag it for review. And this is what begins the delay. So when idemia sees this picture on the left, a little grainy, I know, but this is a good pick, right? That's what we're looking for. We don't want a bunch of forehead showing. We don't, again, want those glamour shots with a bunch of torsos, no smiles, a bunch of hair in the eyes. Now, these are a bit extreme, just to kind of be funny, but again, too much torso hair in the eyes, too little face, just not going to work. Excuse me 1 second. All right. And then, so we get this review, and that review will determine if the quality standards are good enough for our credentials. So if after we review it and they aren't good, they need to come back and get another picture taken, we're going to send out a letter. And it's kind of a hassle because they have to obviously come back, get a whole new picture taken. But here's the bigger hassle, is that a lot of times that second picture is almost worse than the first one. So it happens fairly frequently that we need to bring it up. Yeah, and I think you can actually look and see if there is a letter in there too. So, and they might not have a letter because it might not have been reviewed yet because of the delays. So, so they might not even get a letter. They might not have a letter sent out to them yet. But if they're coming back into your office and there's a lengthy delay, there's some issue typically with it. No, they're not required to remove glasses. I don't believe for EDLs. I haven't ever heard that. We don't have that. I know that's been kind of a hot topic brought up in other sessions, but we don't require glasses be removed. Yeah, it'd be easier, but we don't require it. But I don't think there's a specific one for EDL. I could be wrong, but I'll double check that. Unless that's something new. So anyway, here's the thing: if you're an office that's having a lot of problems with delays in card production, and you kind of determine that it's due to photos, I can't tell you too much other than we may want to rehash where our photo is set up, if there's too much window light coming in or something like that, or the lighting's off or what have you. I know it's not always, you can't always do that, but it's something to at least kick around and consider. So just some do's and don'ts. This is in talking with Mary. This is what we recommend you do and what we don't recommend you do. So use that light blue background. We're not looking for Sherwin-Williams sky blue meets the ocean tide. Okay, we're just looking for some type of light blue background that matches what you saw in those pictures. Eyeglass glare, of course. If you're getting a lot of that, you might need to adjust your lighting. I know that's not always possible, but you might need to kind of figure out something, use whatever to kind of block out whatever's glaring off the glasses. Keep the hair out of the eyes. Take the picture of the face and head. Again, no, we don't need shoulders. We don't need, torsos. make sure they're facing the camera directly, have a good clean background. Big one, and why I put it in bold or at least capital letters here, check to see if a record exists. This is a guaranteed problem. A guaranteed issue, if you have created a record and there is a duplicate record, it's going to get reviewed and it's going to be delayed. So we tell you this all the time, please, it just takes a few more seconds to check to see if a record exists. And then take time to try to get the best shot you can. It's not a big deal if you crop or edit. It will be reviewed. It's not the biggest issue because it's just a quick look and see, all right, does that picture work? But if you do crop or edit, just know it will be reviewed. Yeah, I know there's a ton of questions coming through. I'm going to move on, but don't worry, I promise I'll answer them, or if they haven't been answered already anyway. And I did create a help topic. I want to thank Todd for publishing this so quickly. It's capturing a credential photograph. It has examples of good photographs. It also has an example of crummy photographs. So check it out and we'll move on. I don't know if anybody saw this. I found this a few weeks ago. It's pretty cool. So this house in Glen Falls, New York had this, part of their Halloween decorations was the look of a fire on the inside, and this picture is crazy. The video is even nuts, even crazier. But it was so realistic that the fire department, their neighbors called the fire department on them. And they arrived and was like, well, there's no heat and no smoke. We think it's just a prop, and it was. All right, let's talk voting registration. I know it is crazy. See your questions coming.
I'll answer Bria's in the chat, Brian.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Todd. Okay, voter registration, another hot topic. I got tons of emails on this one too. I wasn't able to respond to some, but not all. So hopefully if I didn't respond to yours, you sent me an email personally. Hopefully this will answer those questions. So there's two things going on with voting registration. One is the question on the application and in MinDrive that asks the customers if they're registered to vote, yay or nay. And the second is about automatic voting registration. So this goes into that automatic, where DVS will automatically register U.S. citizens to vote when they get their new driver's license or ID, or renew their driver's license or IDs with DVS. So we're not going to talk about that right now. As far as the automatic voting registration, so MinDrive and the Secretary of State Computer Systems, they're still working out whatever specifics those IT people do. So the computer systems aren't talking to each other now, but we're trying to get it fixed. And we're going to cover this automatic voting registration process when that happens. So let's take a look at the application. This is our PS 33100-45, otherwise known as the application. If we zoom in to the bottom right corner, we get our voter registration section of the app. And I know you've seen this a million times. It asks, are you a U.S. citizen, yes or no? And will you be 18 on or before the next election, yes or no? And then the rest of the boxes here if the customer wants to register to vote. And the section in MinDrive about voting is this yes or no drop down. So if you select no, this is what you get. If you select yes, you'll get some additional registration questions. And there's a reason that we want to talk about this, because maybe some of you already know this, maybe some of you don't. So Minnesota law states applicants for driver's license or identification cards must be asked verbally if they want to register to vote. Doesn't say verbally, but it's implied. We're going to put the link in the law in our chat, but in order to make sure we are following the law, when you have a customer come in and you get to that part of the application in MinDrive that talks about voters registration, you have to verbally ask the customer. It doesn't have to be exactly this, but it has to touch on these points. We are at the part of the application that asks about voter registration. For the purpose of voting, are you a U.S. citizen and do you want to register to vote? This is a requirement of every office to verbally ask. all customers, it is required to ask every customer every time. All right. You need to verbally ask them, Jenny. Yes. Yeah, it does need to be verbally asked. Good question, but yeah, it has to be asked. At least that's what the law says right now. Maybe that'll change next year. I don't know. But yes, we do need to verbally ask. Yeah, it is. Yep, it is. Yep, like Tom's saying, just verbally ask 100% of the time. I don't know. We have this in here or not. Let me look. No, Todd will throw the link in chat. Yep, he's got it. He has got. Yeah, she is, but other people are getting trained in. Mary's awesome. So, and we're here to help too if we can. We're a little bit limited on the training team.
The language might be up for interpretation, but DVS has determined we will ask 100% of the time. No ifs, ands, or buts. Don't assume. Don't go off the application. We made the decision. Verbally ask the question 100% of the time.
Yep, and that's kind of brings us, Simone, to this one. Great question, Courtney, by the way. Yes, and that brings us to this one. So what we would say, Simone, is to clip this out of a paper application, have it somewhere posted, either at your desk, however your office is situated. You just point it out to them, say, this is why we ask this. It's in law. There's no way around it. It kind of gets you off the hook. And if they want to, gripe and complain, that's on them. So we can't do anything about statute. All right. Good, great questions, y'all. All right, there could be language barriers. Speaking of which, we know that, and help with that is actually in the works. There is the application available in multiple languages. It's on the DL for All site. We have the voting registration box translated in a whole bunch of different languages. And I'll show you the help topic here, where to find these in the next slide, but we'll throw DL for All resource site up in chat too for you. Info Hub link, the box from the app is translated there in 9 languages. We have Spanish, Hmong, Somali, Dari, Pashto, Ukrainian, Russian, Vietnamese, and Karen. I think it's Karen. Just print that out and you can offer it up to any customer in order to ask them that voting question. All right. And keep your questions coming. I'm going to move along just for time purposes because Todd's got motor vehicle stuff to go over. Thanks for throwing that info in chat, Todd. We'll just go over some tools and tips. We just have 5 of them here for you today. Reinstatement filing fee is another one I got a ton of questions on. Disco reminder is we're just repeating what we've repeated for months now. Out of country birth dates, CDL, and PIN numbers for my DVS. So reinstatement. To clarify, state offices do not charge a reinstatement fee in MnDrive, but you as deputies can collect a filing fee for reinstatement, and you can charge the same as the application fee, which is $11 for standard and $16 for real ID. All right, thank you, Todd. Yep, that is true. We are working with IDEMIA pretty frequently right now, and I think they just sent something out yesterday, late yesterday. I haven't really looked at it too closely yet, so there might be more information and photos down the road, folks. Keep your questions
I don't
coming.
think it had anything much about all these software issues, but it's a really good, much better version of good versus not good photos. It's actually really cool, but it won't address their software issues that they're having.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I saw the photos on there. I just didn't read it in full quite yet. I saw the photos on there. I just didn't read it in full yet. I'm not gonna go. And sorry, folks. Sounds like they're mowing the grass right in my living room. I live in a townhouse. Let me shut this. Jeepers. Sorry about that, y'all. So we've gone over this a whole bunch. This calling disco. To call them for the hard stops on PDPS and Spexis issues. Don't call them to verify if docs are acceptable. For card production delays, don't call them for new picture taken. Email them if you have a new picture taken. Don't call them for letters for those, medical vision cancellations, withdrawals, revocations, suspensions, or downgrades. Read your, if the customer has a letter for this, read the letter. It'll provide who to contact for that situation. Fast tracking enhanced driver's license or don't call them for that either. Again, we've sent this to you. Please snip this. I'll leave this up for a little bit. I'm not going to go over it. This is when to call, when to email, and of course, when not to call. And I know we repeat ourselves on this and we've been talking about it for months. It's actually kind of a running joke with our training team. But I'm in contact with Disco pretty frequently, and they email me specific topics, and they don't email me a topic or two. Yesterday, or no, 2 days ago, maybe even Friday, it might have been. I think they sent me 27 topics to train on. Some of them are repeats, and it's just they're shorthanded. Right now, I know some people are coming back, or at least one person's coming back. But we're a little handcuffed with staff right now, so calling them for things that they can't help with is just eating up their time. And I know most of you don't do it, but just don't rely on them just as a catch-all, because they're not. But we know most of you don't do that anyway. Out-of-country birth dates. So many countries other than the US have different date structures for dates, whether there's birth dates, whatever dates. So one of the issues that we're having is when, the example on your screen, we see a date of 25/11/2015. Well, obviously critical thinking says that's probably November 25th, 2015, right? It is. Well, if it's, July 5th, it might say 5/7, and you might take that for May 7th. So just double check. US does it a lot differently than most countries do. So just be sure that you're gathering the that could be a month or a day. You just don't know. Just make sure you're reading the document. All right, enough about that. Elvira, they did tell me she's still around. I'm old, but I remember her when I was a kid. Okay. Current and past CDL holders, just a reminder, those of you that get the updates probably already saw this. We're just replanting that seed. There's no federal, state, or any rule associated with the requirement of taking a general knowledge test. CDL holders don't have to take a general knowledge test to obtain their CLP. And that was in the October 4th update. You can reference that. Another October 4th update was the PIN number. It was requested that we highlight this in our webinar from upper management. If you have a customer that wants to set up a My DVS account, which I have, I don't know if you have one, but you should. So that's on that DVS website. There is a way to have an account on that website. But if they don't have a social security number to register, they will need a special PIN. So in order to get that PIN, they need to get a PIN letter. That PIN letter, they will have gotten that letter from when they were in your office and did a transaction. So this is when you at an office had answered the no to the social security number question. That generates a letter that assigns that customer a 9-digit PIN, and that's what they use to register. If they lost it, they can come back in. You can actually do a transaction called change customer PIN. If they happen to get a social security number in the future, like they're trying to become a citizen, their old PIN will get voided whenever they come in to do a new DVS transaction with their new social security number. Oh, I think I got it all. Not bad, Todd. I got it done in 10:50. And I think there are questions for me out there. Thank you for backing me up on those questions that came fast and furious. I'm going to turn it over to you, Bud, and I'll hunt down these questions when you take control.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, POS, sorry, point of sale. And like Susan said, they don't have registers. So if you have a POS that prints a receipt, it'll show on there. Otherwise, you can make one. Sorry about that. Using all this darn industry lingo. So before I go into the motor vehicle segment, I just want to show you the multicultural center where all the documents will eventually live. Tony, they can have a hat on for a DL picture. Yes, they absolutely can. Just make sure the brim is not pulled down too far so that we can clearly see their face. But yes, hats are acceptable for any of the 3 types of IDs. You're welcome. All right, so let's move on. And someone had asked earlier, I know everybody's anxiously awaiting all of the translated documents. We're close to having everything done in 9 languages, but it takes a while and we're getting everything vetted so that we make sure it makes sense to the people that are reading it. We had them professionally translated, but that doesn't necessarily mean they did a good job. But on the public e-services page, right up at the top is the Multilingual Resource Center. And that takes you to the public page. Currently, this is what we have publicly posted. The other stuff is all done. It is being vetted. And once everything's done, as it gets approved, it'll get added to this page. So what you see right now is what's approved. So the driver manuals in 3 languages, FAQs in 3 languages, everything else will make its way here as soon as it's done. So if you're looking for one, check here periodically, and this is where you're going to go. Bria, that's a good question. I'm talking about financials, marking for sweep, and reconciling. So yes, that would be relevant if you do want to stick around for that. All right, so let's move on to the motor vehicle segment. And my theme pictures for Halloween are all cheesy horror movies is what I went with for our Halloween theme. So let's get rolling. No pun intended. All right, SQR update is first. I do want to go through this. Currently, there isn't a lot of DL stuff on it, but that doesn't mean there can't be soon. Okay, good enough. Yeah, here are your top 5 or your top 4 SQRs for DRs and DLAs. These are the top 4 that are being worked on currently. You can take a look at these, including a dealer trade relationship dropdown for dealers so that they have to identify who is trading in the vehicle, what the relationship is. And that Nimvitas lien printing on title apps, that pesky issue, that's your number 1. Here are some recently fixed ones. When people scan a QR code with their phone, they will no longer be taken straight to the online renewal. You guys wanted them to be presented with choices, including coming to see you. So we take them to a page where they can find offices, find kiosks, where to mail in, whatever it is. So that was one of your big requests. OMP is original Minnesota plate. We're going to talk about those in a little bit. OMPs, that's those old plates that match the year of the vehicle. If we deny one right now, you can't see why. So we want you to be able to see why it's being denied. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And we're going to talk about non-use and tools and tips as well. So hold your thoughts on non-use, because I know I've gotten a barrage of questions about non-use. Any questions on SQRs? All right. Buses 101. Everything you wanted to know about buses, but were afraid to ask. And I'm sure you recognize this dude in this bus with the razor tipped hand. This is going to be similar to how we did Trailers 101 last month. I'm going to test your knowledge of buses first, and then we'll give you the answers at the end. So kind of a dirty trick, but it's a good way to test your knowledge. Who works with a lot of buses? Yeah, it is one of the worst there. I got some of the truly cheesiest horror movies ever. Yep. Anybody work with buses? All right. Sometimes, okay. Well, you guys can help out the rest of the group that maybe doesn't deal with a lot of these. They can be very tricky, but we'll start you out with an easy one. This bus transports students to and from school, 44 passengers. What do y'all think this one would get? What kind of plates and use type would this get? Yep, started you out easy. Yep, the vehicle class will be bus. The use type will be school bus. The nice thing about buses that's different from trailers, once you pick a use type, the plates are locked in and you don't have to select the plates. They're automatically pre-selected for you. So that's kind of cool. I'll pause here for a moment for a screenshot, and then I'm going to give you a harder one. We'll see how you know your bus procedures. So this 12-passenger van is used by Salem Lutheran Church and School, which is a church, school, nonprofit organization, holds 12 passengers, so it's under 15. But what plates would this get? Cindy, you do work with buses, don't you? You do. Good guess on the type 3, but not quite. Yes, Mary, and yep, a couple of you got this. Yes, Mary Melody, yes. This would get tax exempt for the use type and the plates because they are a parochial school that strictly uses this to take students to and from the school. They qualify for tax exempt plates. A school bus can have tax exempt plates, Karen, if the school itself owns it. Most schools don't own their own buses anymore. They contract with bus companies, but yes, great question. They absolutely could if it's owned by the school itself. Yes, because the school qualifies for tax exempt status. Great question. All right, now we'll go back to an easy one. Charter bus for hire, 50 passengers. Liz, Mary, and Mandy say BY, Cindy, Melody. Yeah, yep. This will be commercial use type and BY plates. Again, once you pick commercial, bus BY plates will be pre-selected for you. Now I got a hard one for you. I had to ask. I had to ask one of the veteran liaisons this question. Um, I rode one of these for several years to DVS, but always wondered. This bus was purchased by Metro Transit, which is a state agency and holds 40 passengers. You guys may not know this one unless you're very observant and you ride these buses and look at the front and back of them. Oh, Courtney, look at you go. And Mandy, Beth, Liz, yes, you are correct. Nothing. You will never get these. There's no title issued. There's no registration issued. If you look at them, there's no plates on them. Metro Transit handles and manages these themselves. They hold on to the MSOs. And if they end up selling them, then we just transfer with the MSO to the new buyer. Yeah, I didn't know this. Didn't know this. I assumed they had state tax exempt plates on them. But I'm not very observant, so I didn't realize they don't actually have plates on them. Yeah, who knew? Okay, now this next one might be a little hard for you. If you don't live in like a St. Cloud or a Rochester, or in this case, Mankato. This is a city with a population of 44,000, and this bus is being used to transport people to and from Mankato State University. If you live in a small town or in Minneapolis, St. Paul, you would not ever deal with these. Good guess. Oh, look at Mandy go. Look at Mandy go. Have you done one of these, Mandy? Most of you don't even have these in your inventory. Yes, Mandy's correct. This is an intra-city class 2C bus, and it's for a very specific population, like a Rochester or a Mankato, uh, in the things of that nature. They get the intra-city bus plates. When the Mankato office got a couple of these a few months ago, they actually had to have Lori send them some 2C bus plates because they didn't have any in their inventory. They had never done these before. So, yep, there you go. 2C bus. Good job, Ben and Mandy. All right, now a few of, oh, there you go. Nice, Mandy. I love it. So now a couple of you guessed this earlier. This is, to me, the strangest bus of all. How about the Toyota Prius with 4 passengers? But they operate as a special transportation service provider. This particular one happens to be contracted with a school to transport students. Oh, look at you go, Jessica and Beth. Yes. Have you all heard of the Type 3 bus? These are weird to me. The first time I saw one on the highway, I was following a Prius with BY plates on it. And I had to ask Lisa Melson the next morning, how can a Prius have BY plates on it? And then she explained the Type 3 bus to me. So, yep, you got it. This the vehicle class is going to be Type 3 bus, and then the use type is going to be determined by who they're providing service for. In this case, it was for students contracted with a school, so they get SB plates. In MnDrive, you're presented with 3 use type options: commercial, which would get BY, government, which would get tax exempt, and school bus, which would get SB. Also, you'll notice the passenger capacity is limited to 10, including the driver. So that's why that Salem church bus didn't qualify as a Type 3, because it was 12 passengers. Plus, they aren't a special transportation service provider. But max of 10 passengers, including the driver. And the thing with these, yeah, Dodge Caravans too, yep. Yeah, it is very interesting. This is the weirdest bus of all. The thing with these people, they go through a lot of documentation and a lot of a rigorous application process to get their funding to be a special transportation service provider. And to keep their funding, they can't abuse that money. These people know who they are, they know what they're doing, and they know what they need. So when they come to your counter, they'll know what they need, and they'll let you know that. Yeah, Head Start program's a big one. Head Start program providers, that's a biggie. Yep. Okay, now here's another one that most of you will never ever deal with, but you always could. This could always come up depending upon the situation. I'll tell you a story in just a minute. So this is a school bus, but it's being used temporarily to take fans to and from WeFest. Does anybody know what we issue this? And I'll give you a hint, it's not plates. There you go, Mandy. Do you know what kind of a permit it is? You know what kind of permit this is? We did them in mainframe, and then they kind of fell off the rails with Minlars. And we did them on a PS 2000. Yeah, there you go, Kate. Look at you go. Yes, this is an event permit. So if you ever get these, you'll do an issue Minnesota commercial vehicle permit transaction in your service manager. And then in the permit type dropdown, you'll select event permit. These are 30 days always. That's the max they can be. So they're always 30 days. And then you'll enter a registered weight for the permit. And for that, it's 150 pounds per passenger, whatever the passenger capacity of the bus is, plus the weight of the bus with the fuel tank full. So that'll be the registered weight. And I'll show you what they look like. I've got an example I did in the sandbox. Here's what they look like. They'll say event permit right at the top. You'll collect a filing fee and a permit fee based on 1 month of registration at the gross weight in the BY class. So that's how the fees are determined. They, even if they're only using it for a week, they pay for 1 month of registration. And then typically what they do is they will tape this permit to the back window of the bus. So when they're driving down Highway 94 with a bunch of rowdy country music fans hooting and hollering in there on the way to WeFest, State Patrol doesn't see a school bus all decked out for a country music festival and pull them over. They'll see the event permit in the back window. Winstock is another one. The one that I helped with earlier this year, if you guys remember, there were a couple of sheriff deputies that unfortunately lost their lives up in the Glenwood area, and they had a huge funeral for them, a huge funeral service, and they needed school buses to bring people to the funeral that wanted to pay their respects. And we didn't have it built in MinDrive yet, so I had to do it on PS2000s. And right after that, got this built. So it's relatively new. And now you get your answers. Here's the answers to all those scenarios I talked to you about. Take a look at this chart. It's got the class, use type, plates, and the requirements from our procedures. So I'll give you a moment to take a screenshot of this chart, and then I'll show you where you can find it in Help Now. Sorry, Cindy, I don't know what detesseling is. I'm not sure what that is. If that's an event, they get an event permit. I don't know that name. Oh, it's a real, oh, I love it. Love it. Oh, detasseling. Okay. Yeah. Yep. They could, if they need, if they want to use, if they want to use the local community school buses for that, yes, they would absolutely get an event permit. Absolutely. Detasseling corn, sorry. Should have known that, but all my relatives grew soybeans, not corn. Soybeans, pigs, and horses. School bus that gets sold to an event. Susan, those go through we have a form for that conversion to RV. It's on the motor vehicle forms page. They have to complete that form for those buses that get converted into RVs. Yeah, that's could have been Kate. These event permits, I only got these into MinDrive about 4 or 5 months ago. No, it doesn't need to be converted before it's sold, but we won't issue a title unless we have that form. All right, and here's your help topic. If you search bus classes, you'll find the procedure for registration. And if you go in there now, in addition to the linked topics at the bottom, you'll find that chart right in the middle. I'm going to try and include our handy charts in help topics anytime Brian or I create these, because the feedback I've gotten is you guys think it's very, very helpful to have these little charts we have in training. So if you go into this one today, you'll see that chart with all those bus classes in it. And I'm going to do the same with the trailers. It's more of a quick at a glance kind of thing instead of having to go through each of these linked topics and review the individual stuff. Any questions on that? Anybody recognize this movie? Same bus, same dude. See his arm kind of sticking out there. It's not a very good picture, but you can kind of see the hand. Sid, is there something between 11 and 15 passengers for hotels? No, I think they would probably end up with commercial plates on them, depending on the weight. But no, we don't have, for commercial use, statute says it has to have at least 15 passengers. They might qualify for limo, maybe. They might qualify for limo. Take a look at the limo requirements. I just saw one from a hotel yesterday, but it was bigger. It probably was 20 passengers. You're welcome. All right, moving on. Substitutes for reg cards. What is acceptable as a substitute for reg cards? This is a viewer's choice topic. Comes from Tony House and Blaine. She's been seeing an influx of Arizona electronic titles. Has anybody seen an electronic title from Arizona? They're one of the first states that's moving in that direction. Okay, cool. So she asked us to cover this specifically about the Arizona Title Summary Report and the electronic title. What I decided to do was I will just go through all of the acceptable substitutes for a reg card, including the reg card itself. So we'll start with the one that we're all familiar with, a regular old reg card. This one happens to be from Florida. But I do have a quick question for you. Pop quiz. Yeah, there should have been a different one. Commercial buses statute says 15 passengers minimum. Krista and Lisa. Okay, let me ask you this. When someone comes in with an out-of-state reg card, can it be expired and still used to get reg in Minnesota? Yep, y'all got it. Mandy, you nailed it right on the head. Yes, it can be expired up to 1 year. So don't send them away. We will accept a reg card up to 1 year old. That's not a problem. All right, the next variation, yep, just 1 year, correct. Yep, yep. After that, they're going to have to go back and get something else. Maybe even a copy of the title or something. Confirmation of ownership. This one's from Wisconsin, and I apologize for the barcode labels from Minlars. I hope nobody's getting PTSD from Minlars right now, but these are still good examples from some training materials that I did with title and reg. Has anybody seen one of these confirmations of ownership? Yep, these are acceptable as a reg card. And yes, I'll go back one. Let me know when you're good. Yeah, these are kind of slick and they're easy to obtain. Let me know if you're good on the reg card one, and then I'll show you another variation some of you may have seen. From registration in Minnesota, TOLA always revolves around when it's first operated on Minnesota roads. So whatever day they brought it to Minnesota, that's the date that reg starts. All right, TOLA, good deal. Now the next one I have is what's called a title application receipt. This one's from Texas. Have you all seen one of these? This is acceptable as a reg card. I've got the name blacked out, but this is absolutely acceptable. It's called a title application receipt. It says it right at the top. Nope, don't know. It's all it. Minnesota reg always revolves around the date it first is operated in Minnesota, and MinDrive should actually ask you that. It could have expired in their home state and they could have waited 3 or 4 months before coming up to Minnesota. So as soon as it hits a Minnesota road, that's when the clock starts ticking. How about web dealer title? This is also from Texas, but it says original on it. Don't let that throw you. This is not a title. Note the word web. Has anybody seen one of these? These are acceptable as a reg card. Yep. And here we go with the Arizona one. If you haven't seen one yet, this is an Arizona title summary. This is absolutely acceptable as a reg card. Eventually, Arizona will issue them a paper title. All states are still required to provide paper titles, even if they went electronic, because not all 50 states are on board with that yet. Maybe someday, 10 years from now, we'll go paperless, but for now, they will give them this title summary in the interim, and it can be used as a reg card. Yep. Let me know when you're good, Sarah. And we would always select reg card, Mandy. Exactly. Yes. Great point. We always select reg card as the proof of ownership. All right. And here's another variation from Arizona. This is an electronic title copy. You see the DDI technology logo at the top. DDI Tech is one of the EVTR software providers. We use them in Minnesota too. They're one of our 6. And this is what they give their customer while they're waiting for the title review to happen. These are also acceptable as a reg card. It'll look like this. Yes, everything I've shown you, Hannah, is all reg card for your ownership doc. Yep, they all have something similar. These just happen to be examples I had. They're all substitutes for the reg card, but we will always select reg card as our title option, including this next one. Don't let this next one fool you. We just had one of these this morning. They can use a copy of the title. You're still going to select reg card as the proof of ownership, so make sure you're doing that. And if the copy doesn't clearly say so, like this Georgia one that I found, this is a photocopy. It's not the actual paper title. Before you scan it in, make sure you stamp or write copy on it so title and reg doesn't see this and think that it's an original, because this looks like a good one, right? So a copy of a title can be used as a substitute for a reg card, but again, make sure you're picking reg card and not title, because you don't have a title, you have a photocopy of it. Yeah, yep. It is acceptable to apply for a Minnesota title, but they're not going to get a Minnesota title. We're going to approve it as registration only until they actually provide the real title. And then you'll do that add title transaction that we talked about in training last month. All right, here's your help topic. We're running out of time here. So here is your help topic. If you search reg card, you will find the BPC detail for out-of-state reg cards used as proof of ownership, and you can see I have all of these variations listed right here. Okay, and this might be the cheesiest horror movie ever made. It's right up there with Killer Clowns, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Does anybody have any questions on reg cards? Excuse me. Yeah, that's another hoot. All right. Least Tola, yeah, good question. I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't call it out in my slides, but you can accept a reg card for a leased vehicle from out of state as long as the reg card identifies the person as a lessee by name. If it doesn't have on the reg card lessee John Doe, then they need a power of attorney form from the leasing company in order to and the reg card in order to apply for Minnesota registration. You bet. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, Angela. Yep, a lot of times they'll have a copy from the bank. Yep. All right, I've got some tools and tips for you, along with our horror movie survival kit. Just a few for you, and then I'll get you out of here. Manager time with training is on reconciling and marking for sweep. So even if you're not a manager or supervisor, if you do the report and do the reconciliation and mark for sweep, hang tight with me for that. Krista and Lisa, go ahead before I start tools and tips. What's up? For a vehicle bought out of state.
Hey, Todd, I'm just going to interrupt.
If you have a headset with a microphone on it, you can certainly unmute.
I'm just going to let you know I did put the information in chat, and I know chat gets pretty big. If you didn't get it, let me know, or just email me. I sent my email address in there as well. Sorry to interrupt, Todd.
Nope, you're good. I saw it come in. Awesome, June. Kristen, Lisa, I'll watch for your question. I'll get this going. Oh, there it is. With a purchase agreement with an out-of-state dealer. Yes, we would. Yeah, we would accept a purchase agreement as a reg card from out of state. Yes. Eventually, they are going to have to produce a title, though. Otherwise, they'll never get a Minnesota title. But yes, we will accept an out-of-state dealer purchase agreement to get reg. But that out-of-state dealer eventually is going to have to get them a title. Got it? Make sense? All right. Yep. They do need signatures. Yep, absolutely. Yep. Yep, they should be. And normally they are. At least anytime I've ever bought a vehicle, I've always have to sign a purchase agreement, and the dealer should sign too. It helps too to have the dealer sign a PS 2000 as the dealership too. But yeah, we'll accept that. Absolutely. All right. Non-use. Just a couple of quick notes on this. As I mentioned in the SQR segment, 52170 is fixed now. You can claim non-use for those old sale dates. So everything's good there. Yeah, that should be fine. We don't allow it for Minnesota dealers, but we can't control what out-of-state dealers use. So yeah, we would accept that, Kate. Yep. So non-use is fixed. You don't have to do two transactions anymore. You don't have to do a title only and then a renewal to be able to claim non-use. You see the fields that we added. And depending on the situation, you might get a vehicle first driven on Minnesota roads. You'll see that when they claim that they bought the vehicle a long time ago and then they took it by trailer to their barn and now they finally fixed it up. And now they want to get a title and all that. You'll get this box to pop up if the vehicle is expired more than a year and the acquisition date is more than a year ago, but after the previous expiration, you'll get so this is when they finally got it fixed up and are ready to start using it. That's the date that'll go in there. The other thing that we got fixed is we finally added the non-use statement to the required documents that has never been there, but has always been required. Is there anybody out there that didn't realize you need to have a non-use statement when you claim non-use? I've gotten a ton of emails about this, and this is nothing new. We have required non-use statements for as long as I can remember. So it's not a new process. It's not a new rule. MnDrive just wasn't asking for it, but per document management, we've always required it. It just wasn't built into MnDrive. And yeah, before MnDrive, you were required to retain them at your office for 5 years, I think was the time. It was either 3 or 5. With MnDrive, we just wanted them scanned in, but we didn't have them on the list. Now it's there. DVS is not going to create a non-use form. You are welcome to create a form at your office. DVS is not going to do that. We never have. It's not something we're going to do. They can write it on a piece of photocopy paper. Even with Minlars, I used to joke that they can write it on a bar napkin if they want to, or a Post-it note. Those don't scan very well, but we just need something signed by the owner saying they didn't use it. For those, So non-use statements are signed based on the sale date. So if the non-use took place before the sale, the seller has to sign it. If the non-use took place after the purchase date, the buyer signs it. Does that make sense? And no partial year non-use. Nope. It's all or nothing. All or nothing. All right. And you got this information on October 5th in the DVS update. So non-use depends on the purchase date, Karen. Yeah, they aren't. But technically, if the non-use occurred prior to the acquisition date, the seller is the one that needs to say it wasn't used. If the non-use took place after the acquisition date, the buyer can sign it. I know sometimes that's not always practical, but that's how it's supposed to work. I am struggling to imagine a situation when a leased vehicle is not used. Because you're paying lease payments on a vehicle that's generally new, and I cannot even imagine a scenario where it wouldn't be. But in that case, I believe the lessee can sign the non-use statement. If it's a sale of a leased vehicle from the lessor, then the lessor would need to sign if it's before the acquisition date, unless the lessee has power of attorney. Yeah, yep. The owner of the vehicle needs to sign the non-use statement, not the person at the counter. Yep, absolutely. And if you've never seen Parents and want to see a cheesy, disturbing movie, check it out. Good old Randy Quaid. And I'll give you a hint, that's not chicken on the grill. All right, couple more tips for you. Real quickly, the supplemental dealer reassignment form. We are in the we're going through the process of changing the form and its use. You'll notice on the supplemental dealer reassignment form, which is a controlled form, just like a title, there's a bullet that appears on it that says individuals and entities or individuals other than dealers may not appear as vehicle seller. So that's what we're changing or have changed. We did go through this with dealer training last week as well. So effective immediately, sellers may sign as seller on the SDR when trading into a dealership and the title is not available. So what we told dealers to do is when someone trades in a vehicle and they don't have the title with them, pull out an SDR and immediately have them sign the vehicle over to the dealership, despite the bullet that says not to on the form. Including the SDR from owner to dealer maintains chain of ownership through the entire process. Part of that was getting lost. From the point that they traded in and assign it to a dealer on the SDR, the secure power of attorney and duplicate title process are not changing. The dealer will still be able to obtain a duplicate title with the secure power of attorney and then sign as seller. But now we have a full chain of ownership. Let me know when you're good, Mary. So basically, we're just allowing use of the form. Some deputies were allowing it, some weren't, some were requiring it, even though it says not to. Some were rejecting them and sending them back to the dealership. So we're just trying to get everybody on the same page. Dealers, non-use doesn't apply to dealers. If they mark a vehicle held for resale and then sell it to someone, the registration starts on the sale date. So non-use isn't even a factor for dealerships. Doesn't even come into play because of the held for resale. Are you good, Mary? All right. So dealers are going to use the ones they have until they're gone. There's tens of thousands of these out there, and there's no sense in wasting them all. So we're just going to act as though that bullet isn't even on them. MADA has updated the form and sent it off to print. So it'll be a while before you start seeing them, but you will start seeing them. And I'll show you what that new form looks like. Here it is. Notice the bullet's not on it. any longer. So again, the ones that still have it, we're just ignoring it. And eventually you'll see these that don't have it on there at all. Does anybody have any questions on the SDR? And I just have one more tip for you. OMPs, original Minnesota plates, and the override request for DVS approval. When you see this screen and you see a letter from DVS to allow use of an original plate number, don't request it by clicking here if you don't have the letter. We ask for it because we really do need it. It's there for a reason. That's the whole reason you're requesting approval. So if you see this screen and they don't have this letter, discard the transaction, give them their instructions, and tell them to come back when they have it. Don't click this request if you don't have a letter and a picture of the plate scanned in. Otherwise, it's going to get denied. So scan in the letter and the picture of the plate before clicking here. We'll take a look at it, we'll approve it, and you can issue the cab card and collect the fees. But when we ask for it, we do actually need it, and it does need to be scanned in. If they don't have this letter, they can email PIC or they can send a letter via mail if they don't have email capability. And as I've mentioned in prior trainings, if they're in a pinch, email me with the request and I'll get an approval letter done up. There shouldn't be anybody in a pinch now. For the most part, car shows are done for the season. So there shouldn't be anybody in a pinch, but if you are, let me know and I can knock one out for you quick. Otherwise, they go to PIC and get approved relatively quickly, generally same day. And I'm going to show you that, Karen. Your help topic, if you search original, you'll find the procedure for original plates. And if you scroll down to the bottom, yes, exactly, Mandy. That's exactly what you do. And it should be within about a half an hour. So you just have your customer take a seat and help the next person. Mail reg is approving those anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. Yep, Angela, there you go. Yep. So Karen, at the bottom of this help topic, it's got the email for PIC as well as what needs to be included in the email to get approval. And there's also the mailing address for folks that don't have email. And there's two gentlemen in PIC that I've trained on these, and we talk about them all the time, and I help them with them. So we'll get them their approval letter, and then they can come back and see you. We've had to deny quite a few because the lettering is all rusty and paint's chipped off and all that, so they have to go get the plate restored and then come back. Any questions on that? If you've never seen Evil Dead 2, the main character sustains 126 blows to the head. It's kind of cheesy, but it's kind of funny too. And yeah, 126 blows to the head. Don't turn it into a drinking game. Take a drink every time he hits his head. At one point, he falls down a whole flight of stairs and hits his head on every single stair on the way down. So that's like 15. All right. That's it for regular training. I kept you a couple minutes after. I do still have manager time with training on financials. If you don't do the report or deal with the financials, make sure you come back in November. It'll be our 3-year anniversary with MnDrive, folks. November 16th, 2020. Send us your viewers' choice topics and a staff photo. We got plenty of room for topics next month. And if you like the training and are willing to be quoted in the next Save the Date, send me a quote and I will include it in the next Save the Date announcement. It is good for people. Yes, it is. All right, reconciling and sweeping. Just a couple of quick reminders for those of you that do the financials. Sadly, I hear this all the time, so I figured some reminders were in order. When you're doing the reconciliation activity, the orange screen, please don't just enter a number in there just to be done. I help deputies with financials all the time, and they entered an amount in here that they didn't actually collect. and then they need help. And then it's a little harder to help them. And then I ask them, well, if you didn't have $15,000, why'd you put $15,000 in? And they said, well, that's how we were told to do it. This is actually a reconciliation, and you should only be filling in the amount it's asking for if that's actually what you have. If you don't have that, if you're short, don't enter it and then call for help. It's easier to help you if you don't reconcile first and ask for help. So ask for help before reconciling and it'll go a lot quicker. It takes a little more work if you just enter the expected amount just to be done. So that's your first tip. And then when it's time to mark for sweep, again, make sure your deposit in your sweep account matches the amount that you say that is ready to sweep. This should always match. I don't recommend that you do the deposit or even fill out the deposit slip if you fill out deposit tickets. Don't even fill it out until you're ready to check the box and mark for sweep and lock it in. The best practice is to mark for sweep, then go to the bank or do the ACH. That way your amounts will always match and the amount won't change. What sometimes happens is people will get to this screen, they'll see how much it is, they'll do the deposit, and then the next day they come in and mark it for sweep. And what happens sometimes, folks? What happens overnight sometimes? When we have credits and stuff. Yeah, things change. Exactly. Things change. So, and don't worry about scanning the deposit slip. You can always scan it in afterwards. A lot of folks sit on the mark for sweep screen because they want to get the deposit slip scanned in. You can always scan it in later. If you go to the springboard for the day, the scan documents button is there. And here's your resource. If you go into the Learning Manager, it's going to be in one of two places. Here I have an example for one of you where it hasn't been completed yet because I just got it assigned a couple weeks ago. You're going to find it on your Assigned tab. If you search Financials, you'll see this header for Financials Advanced, and there's 5 videos here that you can pick from. And if you have been a DUR for quite a while or have done these videos before, you'll find it on your completed classes tab by searching webinars. Some things in learning changed over the last 2 years, so that's why there's 2 different ways to search for it. It'll be in your assigned under financials, or it'll be in your completed classes under webinar. If you click this financial closeout webinar link, the 5 videos will be in there. So there is your resource. If you haven't watched those videos yet, I highly recommend it. If you're just learning the financials, I definitely recommend it because it goes through the whole process step by step. Any questions? Becca, if we have accounting move the money for the money we are off, then we do put the record? Yes, correct. Yep. And Kathy, that's probably got to do with the filing fee increase, Kathy. Because the filing fee changed on October 1st. That would account for the $1 difference. So they do actually owe you that buck. And because of the way credits are divvied up, which is incredibly weird math that I can't even begin to explain, that's why it's an oddball amount of 82 cents. Yeah. It's the way credits are divvied up. It's one of the fasties explained it to me once and the top of my head exploded. And yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you all again for staying late. We kept you a few minutes after, and we apologize for keeping you late, but I thank you all for attending and so glad you were able to make it. And we will see you again this afternoon or next month. If your staff haven't gotten in, Kate, I don't know if you noticed the dates I had. But we're having it Monday, Tuesday of Thanksgiving week instead of Tuesday, Wednesday. If you saw the dates for next month, we're having it Monday, Tuesday. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you all. Thanks for the kind words, everyone. That's great.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Have a good rest of your day. Happy Halloween, and we will talk with you down the road. Take care.